A young fashionable student started selling clothes as a student from the boot of his car. Today, he owns several stores around Nigeria and is the successful entrepreneur behind the brand Fusion. We will be meeting the man behind the brand, Korede Roberts. Okay, now let's go back to 12 years. If anybody told you that in 2012, you would own 3 stores in Nigeria, what would you have said?
I would say more or less the business found me. It wasn't something I planned to do commercially.
Okay.
I had pieces on and people walked up to me, I like your pieces, this, that, blah, blah, blah. I had my friends take my pieces off me and all that. Okay, so I thought about it that okay, instead of giving them my pieces for free, I could have an extra one and sell to them. So I mean, it was basically zero capital. Okay. And it became a business over time.
So what was the original vision? Okay, you were selling clothes from the boot of your car, and then you thought, what, I'm doing this just to make money for now, or I want to be in the fashion business?
Sincerely as a then, I was just trying to make enough money to sustain myself and buy more clothes.
For yourself?
Yeah, for myself.
So it was all about looking good?
Yeah. So basically, it was in pursuit of my passion.
It was in your pursuit of your passion
exactly,
to have swagger.
Exactly. No, just to dress well, you know, look good. Yeah, I love it. I've always loved it. I've starved myself to buy clothes.
Would you?
Yeah.
So you drink Gary if you have to?
As a student, Gary is even too much. I'll eat nothing.
Seriously?
Yeah, there were times I went to school, I didn't have money in my pocket, but I looked really good. I had people walk up to me, Korede, I like the way you look, I like this, I like that, I like that, I mean, more or less, I don't need to eat it. I don't need to put anything in my stomach. I feel good and I go home. And when I get home, I rush my food so I don't die.
Okay, well, you've come a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Come a very long way since then. And I think your story is very, very inspirational. So if you could tell our viewers a little bit more. Fine, they know that, you know, from what I've said, from what you've said, you started selling from the boot of your car. But from there, what happened?
I had a target for myself. I'll say this. I've never said this in any interview or anywhere. I said to myself that when I hit 500,000, then I'll go abroad, take out the money and buy clothes for myself, and become the best dressed boy in any university in Nigeria. I was literally young then in Nigeria, that nobody would test me. Basically, I mean, in the history of Nigerian university. But I mean, by the time I hit 500,000, then I thought about it that because I worked hard for the money. It was no longer easy for me to go out there and spend all that money on myself. So I just found myself, I got addicted to reinvesting the money. So every time I tried, okay, I was okay, 500,000, 1 million, whatever it is, I'll take this money out there and buy clothes. I couldn't do it anymore because I worked hard for the money. I found myself buying a lot of pieces, you know, and selling to people, and I mean, it was more or less a referral thing. I sold to a couple of students, but I sold more to my brother's friends out of town. So I found out that I was more into the business than my education. Okay. Yeah. To an extent, I would say to you, it's not easy to combine education and business, because my education suffered a bit. I was out of school, selling to clients, you know. Then I invested in the phone. It was very expensive buying the phone way back then. So I invested in the phone. I had clients call me. You know, sometimes I'm meant to walk into my lecture hall. I'll find myself on the island. You know, I was in the University of Lagos. I'll find myself on the island in my client's house, showing him stuff, selling. I'll make up. Okay, after 1 hour, I'll go for the next lecture. The next client calls me up. So it became, it became a proper business, and I got addicted to it. You know. When I was going to open my store, I was speaking with a friend of mine, and he said to me, "Yeah, why don't you have a shop, or why don't you open a store and all that?" I thought about it. I was like, okay, I'm doing good selling from my trunk. Do I really need to own a shop? And I was a bit of a panic. You know, it's not easy to wake up one day and say, okay, you want to open it. You need to be mentally ready for it. So I was like, I want a shop, even though I was scared inside of me. And he took me around and showed me a shop. That was my first store. And said to me, it was X amount of money. We met up with the owner of the property and all that. And I paid him, even without making up my mind I was going to open a shop.
Korede, tell us some of the brands that are stocked in the store.
Okay, basically I'll start with our core brands. We met up with Michelle Dede, they're based in Milan, to develop a line for us, which I collaborated with them.
So you actually got them to design specifically for
to my specification.
That's
wider epaulets, and we have the secret pin down so it stays firm and clean.
Okay.
We're not into we like everything. Yeah, we like everything in place in Nigeria, and it's linen. It's really hot in Nigeria. If you're going to go casual, you do yellow, you do red, and brown is very masculine for people that want to play safe. They don't want to be seen.
Okay.
They want to look trendy, but not like they're being too fussy. We have a few popular brands. For instance, we do Givenchy directly. They're based in Paris, we all know. Yeah. It's a huge fashion house that's been taken over by Bernard Arnault, the billionaire guy that owns the LVMH group. So it's under the LVMH umbrella. And they just introduced a new designer, creative director, Riccardo Tisci. He's about the best designer in the world. He's the most popular at the moment. He's strong, so they're doing real good, We do opticals. You might have eye problems, but you want to do everything in style, Yeah, so you want to make
Are these unisex or not?
They are unisex.
They are.
Yeah, they are unisex. Yeah.
I'm sure I look like a man.
Oh, it's nice. Do I look like a
man?
The little tint of rose gold, yeah. So it's really nice. You don't want to make it seem like it's a disadvantage to have a bad eyesight. It should actually be.
I wear glasses.
And these are the sunglasses.
Yeah, I like those.
Yeah, that's a super duper. We have the likes of Kim Kardashian and a lot of celebs went there. Yeah.
You talked about so many different things. You've talked about how you started, and how the business is doing. But I would like to know now what the plans you have are for Fusion. Where do you see it going?
I'll say to you, eventually, I want to be able to own a departmental store.
Okay.
The departmental store that will sell different pieces, fashion pieces, homewares, like a mini, I want to say Joe Moretti in Milan or Colette in Paris. Still personal, not, and if it gets as big as Bergdorf Goodman or Harrods or whatever, so be it. Because Nigeria is, I would say, is an emerging market, a new market. We are still in our learning process. So I plan to grow with the trend.
That's what you would like to do?
Yeah, I plan to grow with the trend. And my end point is having a departmental store.